Hello and welcome to another edition of SportsLine. I'm Jake Smolinski.
And I'm Anna Gomez. Tons of sports action ready for you on this one. Zach Renitsky will join us for some exploring headlines.
And later, we'll show you our interview with volleyball player Taylor Height. But first, let's catch up on what went down this past week for our athletes. LaSalle volleyball team hosted St. Louis on September 25th. The Explorers and coach Rumgala were looking to upset the heavily favored Billikens. Things looked promising in the first set as the home team took the win 25-23. LaSalle was comfortable for most of the set and even trumped a possible St. Louis comeback towards the frame's end. Sophomore Brianna Davis had 6 kills, one of which sealed the set victory. The Explorers continued competitively in set 2, remaining neck and neck with the Billikens before losing steam. St. Louis resurged to take set 2, 25-21, and sadly, the remainder of the game was St. Louis's. The third set saw the Billikens take an early advantage that helped them easily dispatch the Explorers 25-12. And despite playing much better in the fourth, Rumgala's team faltered again. Both teams remained close until the end when the Billikens got hot and took the final set 25-19. David had 16 kills, freshman Jensen Schuritz had 15 digs, and freshman Taylor Height added 37 assists on the night.
And the volleyball team's struggles continued on September 26th, losing to the Dayton Flyers in straight sets. The defending conference champion Flyers were contested early in set one by the Explorers, before Dayton managed to pull away later to secure a 25-12 victory. After falling behind in set 2 as much as 11 points, LaSalle managed to fight back within 5 before failing to close out, losing the second frame 25-19. The Flyers completed the sweep in set 3 comfortably, 25-13. Brianna Davis had a game-high 10 kills, and Taylor Height added 21 assists for LaSalle in the loss.
And now over to field hockey. They took on the beastly Lock Haven Bald Eagles on Friday, September 25th. It was a back-and-forth struggle from the first minute. Now both teams kept the ball locked at midfield, and superb goaltending shut down the offense each time they got into the crease. However, it was an insane game to watch as attempt after attempt was made. Now, despite the effort of LaSalle's defense, Lock Haven had too many chances with penalty corners and skirmishes in front of the net. The sloppiness caught up with the Explorers only 2 minutes into the second half, and Lock Haven's Alicia Smith punched in a goal to give the Bald Eagles the advantage. Now, for the rest of the match, the Explorers never died down. As the clock wore out, LaSalle made a serious push to the net and almost came away with a tie point multiple times. However, the field hockey gods were not in LaSalle's favor for the final Explorer shot of the game. A heartbreaker, LaSalle took on St. Louis in an attempt for redemption that Sunday.
And after that rough loss to Lock Haven, the Explorers bounced back against St. Louis. With their third A-10 match of the season, LaSalle stepped up big time with a decisive 6-2 win. It all started in the 8th minute with Kendall Creeder ripping a clean shot off a corner from Jenica Miller. 4 minutes later, Eileen Zwill scored off another corner herself with a 2-0 lead. Explorer momentum picked up with another goal from Zwill, 2 from Abby Lawrence, and another from Jess Hoffman. With 22 shots and 4 in return on net, the statistics were staggering. LaSalle coasted on to win the match, bringing their record to 3-6.
LaSalle's golf team teed off at the George Mason Intercollegiate on Sunday, September 27th and Monday, September 28th. Junior Joe Markman carded a career-best 3-under par 68 to pace the Explorers in the third and final round of the event. Markman shot 7-under par for the tournament, marking his personal best for a 54-hole event. And now Markman's performance put him in a tie for 22nd place with his teammate, redshirt junior PJ Acierno, and 3 other golfers. Acierno posted a 1-over par 72, following Markman and Acierno in LaSalle's leaderboard. Freshman Nick Guyman and graduate student Tony Eifboon each tied for 74th and 85th place, respectively. As a team, LaSalle's final round was its best, shooting a 16-over par. Unfortunately, this could not boost them any higher on the leaderboard as they finished in 14th place for the Patriot Intercollegiate. The golf team will look to improve in the incoming weeks as they travel to the Lehigh Invitational on Friday, October 16th and Saturday, October 17th.
And switching up to soccer, after the heartbreaking loss to Temple, the men's soccer team traveled to the Empire State to battle the Blackbirds of LIU Brooklyn on Saturday, September 26th. Defense took center stage in the contest as neither team allowed a goal in regulation time. After 90 minutes, the match moved to overtime where no progress was made. Neither the Blackbirds nor the Explorers could find the back of the net in either overtime period, forcing the game to end in a scoreless draw. Freshman Cameron Keyes made his collegiate debut in the net for the Explorers. The Allentown native made sure his first game was a strong one, stopping all 4 of the 16 LIU shots that were on net. And men's soccer followed the tie with an anticipated contest against local rival Villanova on September 30th. I headed to McCarthy Stadium to see how the Explorers played in the rainy conditions. Take a look. On Wednesday, September 13th, Villanova traveled up Broad Street to challenge LaSalle men's soccer here at McCarthy Stadium. The Philly matchup promised to be a tough competition, and in the first half, it seemed that was going to be true. It was a rainy 40-minute stalemate that dragged on for the Explorers in white. Shots made by Andrew Connors and Ryan Nork fueled the last 10 minutes of the half, but ultimately Villanova goalie Will Steiner maintained a scoreless game. But LaSalle came back swinging in the second half with shots made by Joe Farrell, Tony Daniele, Joe Hansen, and Zach Rutherford within 5 minutes of play. The Explorers gave up their first goal of the game in the 64th minute after a foul on LaSalle, which gave Nova exactly what they needed. Less than 10 minutes later, the Wildcats sealed a victory with their second goal of the game. With 15 minutes to go, Coleman Kennedy led an effort to try to prevent a shutout, but to no avail. And while he let in 2, freshman keeper Cameron Keyes faced 13 shots, the highest of his career at LaSalle. The Blue and Gold start the first A-10 contest with an 0-2 loss, but the season is far from over. Expect more to come from the 4-5-1 Explorers. And now on to our weekly award for LaSalle sports. Last week, LaSalle's volleyball team beat the UMBC Retrievers for the first time in their last 7 meetings. The 3-2 victory was thanks in large part to freshman Jensen Sheritz, who was named A-10 Co-Defensive Player of the Week. The rookie from Ohio notched 21 digs in the contest against UMBC and had 48 digs total that week. And that does it for our week's games. Now joining us for Exploring Headlines, Zach Ronitzky. Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. All right, well, let's get to it. We've got some big changes for 2 LaSalle teams' coaching staffs. Rowing coach Tom Madden announced the hiring of Kathleen Fittipaldi as an assistant. Fittipaldi is a LaSalle alum, rowing as team captain for 2 years before graduating in 2013. The new addition has also served as assistant coach at the U.S. Naval Academy Rowing Camp and the Haddon Township Rowing Club in New Jersey. On the women's soccer team, volunteer assistant Jamie Scott has been promoted to assistant coach for the current season. The London-born veteran has been with the Explorers since 2012 and has coached the Philadelphia Fever and Rosemont College's program. LaSalle women's team has participated in 3 NCAA tournaments since Scott's involvement. LaSalle community members, remember to help the university kick off its first ever Walk with the Women of LaSalle Athletics, which will raise funds for women's sports. The walk is scheduled for Saturday, November 14th on homecoming weekend and will begin at 11 a.m. at McCarthy Stadium. For more information, visit goexplorers.com.
And now it's time for our first break, but don't go anywhere.
When we come back, we'll have my chat with volleyball's Taylor Height, so stay tuned. Sorry.
Jump into the fun at the 4th Annual Explore Your Health Community Health Fair. On Saturday, October 10th, from 10 to 3 p.m., the shops at LaSalle will be hosting an array of events, including face painting, informational tables about nutritional tips and health screenings, massages, a 50-50 raffle, and live student performances. Come out and join the fun.
Today, a new creature walks among us, terrorizing innocent citizens. Until this threat can be contained, we must all be on the lookout for the dreaded digital deadwalkers.
Dude!
They're not looking out for you.
Engage!
A public service safety message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, who want to keep everyone well connected with strong, healthy bones.
Welcome back. And LaSalle's volleyball team has been experiencing a season far more exciting than we've seen in any recent years. Freshman Taylor Height has been crucial to the team's performance, so I took it upon myself to learn a little bit more about the rookie explorer. Take a look. Hello and welcome to another edition of On the Sidelines. I'm your host, Jacob Smolinski, and today I got the chance to sit down with up-and-coming freshman star, Taylor Height. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so volleyball has been having like a pretty interesting season this year. You guys have had some incredible games, some incredible matchups, but then also just a little bit of falling out. But at the same time, you guys have really had a great come up since from the past couple of years. So first though, as like a newcomer to this program, I guess I got to ask, what is it like transitioning from being playing throughout high school, but then kind of coming in as a freshman and coming to it like almost like a new program?
Well, I've played club my entire life, so that was a high level of volleyball. So I thought I knew what I would expect when coming into this, but it definitely exceeded those expectations. Preseason was 6 hours of practice a day, plus training, and then just for 3 weeks straight. And our first game, I was like, I'm not going to be nervous, but that as soon as the whistle blows and I was the first server, I was like, oh my goodness. But it's really been awesome. I've been having a great time. The team's awesome, coaches are awesome. Just, it's a really fun thing to do.
Yeah, so that's great that that transition just sort of kind of happened naturally then. And I guess that transition has turned out pretty well, especially with the fact that, right now you're leading the team in assists, really playing such a great supporting role. In every game that I've gotten to attend, you are there setting up everybody. 511 assists so far, that's a serious number. And so I guess, what has been, your personal favorite moment, best game, where you finally felt like you've made that transition into college?
Honestly, our first tournament, the last game we played was against Gardner-Webb, and they've been a pretty good program for the past few years. I know a girl that used to play there, and she was very good. And we swept them in 3, which was huge for us because as a program we hadn't done that. And that was just really awesome for us.
Yeah, were there any certain personal points that you had where you're just
Not really.
Yeah, it's a 511 assists. I mean, and countless kills. So anyway, though, you guys have a pretty challenging A10 list coming up. You guys got Duquesne, Rhode Island all coming up. Then that's going to eventually lead into the playoffs and everything. Yeah. How do you feel like the team is going to come off playing all these tournaments, traveling all the time, to kind of staying more here on the East Coast, playing some more home games and everything?
I think it really helps our focus. We went from playing a midweek game every week and then having a tournament that weekend with 3 games at a time. And it's really put more focus since we only have 1 game a week now and we can really focus, or 1 or 2 games. So this week we have just Duquesne, and we've been really focusing on what they are going to do as a team and what we are going to do in order to beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a pretty valid thing, because I mean, you guys are playing 3 games in 2 days. That's a pretty serious schedule. But now I guess kind of changing focus, for you guys to make the playoffs, what do you think is going to be what's going to make that happen?
Well, the top few teams have always been the top few teams historically, but the bottom 8 or so really have a chance this year to get into A10s, and honestly, it's just winning the games that we have to win. So beating Duquesne, beating Rhode Island, all of those ones.
No, absolutely. And so also, we have a special hometown significance going on. Taylor's also from Buffalo, New York, which is, of course, as everybody on SportsLine knows, where I'm from. What has been the biggest culture shock since coming to Philadelphia?
The food's not as good.
I agree with that. I think that is one of the most challenging things. But no, and I guess for the final question for this, this is one that I've asked everybody that I've ever interviewed. I got to ask. It's after a long volleyball practice, you're exhausted, and you go over to Happy Fortune. Pizza roll or cheesesteak roll?
Pizza roll. I don't like cheesesteaks.
There you have it. We have a genuine Buffalo just patriot right there. So yeah, anyway, that is it for On the Sidelines. I'm Jake Smolinski. Taylor Height.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure you tune in for the rest of our coverage for like Duquesne, Rhode Island. Back to the desk. Thanks. Oh, I just absolutely love when I get to see my face transitioning back onto my face. It's a total egotistical boost. But no, how about Taylor Height though?
Oh my goodness, what a phenomenal person to talk to. She was so composed.
Especially even as a freshman.
Yeah.
Like it still blows my mind that she can show up and still be putting up like 511 assists. Like that statistic, like this early in the season, is just mind blowing. But no, she's doing an incredible job just holding everything down. On top of that, Buffalo native. Wish that I'm going to take a minute to just correct something really quick. She is not my Kelsey Jenkinson. She is my Kelsey Haycock of this year. So yeah.
Well, it's time for another break, but stick around because we have previews for upcoming games, along with our marquee matchup with Imani Cook when we return.
Behind the wheel in that 43 car.
We all have a role to play here at Richard Petty Motorsports. We respect each other, work hard, and that helped us get the big win in Daytona. My partners in the U.S. Air Force also know that it takes a team to make each mission a success. Your coworkers, family, and friends are your team. Treat them with respect, and together you can accomplish great things. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Today, a new creature walks among us, terrorizing innocent citizens. Until this threat can be contained, we must all be on the lookout for the dreaded digital deadwalkers.
Dude!
They're not looking out for you.
Engage!
A public service safety message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, who want to keep everyone well connected with strong, healthy bones.
And welcome back. There is plenty of LaSalle sports action this upcoming week, so let us highlight the games ahead. So anyway, the men and women's cross-country teams took a week off to prepare themselves for split dual action this weekend at the Paul Short Run in Bethlehem, PA, and the Greater Louisville Classic in Kentucky. The Explorers are coming off a reasonably successful outing at the Mainline Invitational, at which the women finished 5th and the men 2nd in their respective races. Megan Connell, Ian Barnhill, and Bradley Hooer led their teams at the event. The Paul Short Run will take place at Lehigh University on Friday, October 2nd, while the Louisville Classic will begin the following day.
And the tennis teams have quite a few matches ahead. The men's team will face the University of the Sciences on the 2nd. The women's will see back-to-back action, traveling to Jersey to face St. Peter's on the 3rd, and returning home the next day to host Longwood.
And LaSalle Field Hockey will spend their weekend on campus as they prepare for games against Fairfield on the 2nd and Monmouth on the 4th. Fairfield's last game was a 4-2 win over Providence, and their defense is anchored by keeper Caitlin Bennett, who was named MAAC Defensive Player of the Week. The Stags have an even 4-4 record. For Monmouth, the Hawks sit at 3-7.
And LaSalle's volleyball team will head to Pittsburgh to battle Duquesne on the 3rd. The Dukes are 6-10 after their 3-1 loss to St. Louis. LaSalle will look to recover from their own 3-0 loss to Dayton, and the Explorers will sit at 6-12 on the season.
And women's soccer was trumped last week by Temple in a decisive 3-0 loss. But the season is far from over for the Explorers as they look to bounce back from this defeat to the rival Owls. LaSalle will open A-10 conference play against University of Massachusetts, who are riding a 3-game win streak. And the Minutewomen have not allowed a goal in those 3 wins. After this, the Blue and Gold will continue their competitive weekend and face Davidson at home on the 4th. The Wildcats are coming off their 7-0 victory over Francis Marion. Fun fact, LaSalle had a perfect conference play record last season and 8 wins, with 8 wins and no losses.
And men's soccer will travel up to New York City to face A-10 rival Fordham. The Rams were blown out in their last contest by Lehigh, losing 3-0. LaSalle is coming off that tough loss to Villanova, in which the Explorers allowed 2 second-half scores while failing to score the all game. They sit 4-5-1 on the season. And men's soccer will follow up their game at Fordham with a highly anticipated match versus Duquesne on October 7th. Imani Cook has your preview on the latest marquee matchup. Check it out.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Marquee Matchup. I'm Imani Cook, here to tell you about the exciting Atlantic 10 matchup between LaSalle and Duquesne Wednesday, October 9th at McCarthy Stadium. The men's soccer team is looking to improve upon their record of 4 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw by making exciting plays this season. Currently, Duquesne is 2-5 with their first A10 matchup against Dayton on Saturday. Last year, the men faced an upset loss against Duquesne of 3-1 and are looking to change that this Wednesday. Up until their contest against Villanova this past week, LaSalle had not lost a home game, and if they want to defend their turf, they're going to need to help defender Tony Daniele and midfielder Andrew Connors. Redshirt freshman Tony is making headlines as the Atlantic 10 Soccer Rookie of the Week back on September 8th. He is also in the top 10 in the league with 2 assists this season. Number 12, Daniele is currently the category leader in points, goals, and shots. Tony is definitely making a name for himself here at LaSalle, and I can't wait to see what he does this game. Back in 2012, then freshman Andrew Connors played a season high of 50 minutes in a 3-1 win against Duquesne. Last season, he saw action in 14 games and started in 10. This season, the senior has started in all 8 games, averaging 1.63 shots per game, but he is currently a category leader in game-winning goals. Number 11, Connors, is a force on the field, and I'm excited to see how Andrew fares this game around. In an effort to win against Duquesne, the men will need to keep sticking together. It's that great teamwork that has pulled them through the season so far. And secondly, focus on possession of the ball. They got to take control over Duquesne. And finally, because this is an A10 conference game, these men will have to maintain their composure. If they don't, they won't be able to play their best. With all that being said, don't forget to stop by McCarthy Stadium this Wednesday at 7 p.m. to help cheer on LaSalle's men's soccer team. For this week's marquee matchup, I'm Imani Cook. Go Explorers!
Thanks, Imani. Well, and it's time once again for my own personal favorite segment, Picks of the Week. All right, so first of all, we have some really incredible games coming up. I'm very, very excited to see what the turnout of all of these. After last week, I don't think I did too hot. I blew it. Honestly, just didn't foresee anything. I was just a mess. But anyway, I'm going to go into our first pick of the week, which is men's soccer. I'm going to predict a 2-0 win over Fordham. It's a home game. I don't know. This feels pretty promising. Coming off of a pretty depressing streak of really tight losses, I feel like Coach Farrell is not going to let this stand. You know?
I was really, really sad to see that the men had lost on that game on Wednesday to Villanova. That was pretty heartbreaking because they held their own up until the second half.
Exactly. It's just like LaSalle's soccer team constantly is working in streaks. We have an incredible front line. We got Joe Farrell, Andrew Connors, all these guys. But for some reason, it's every couple of games we just don't connect. Yeah. All right. And so on to our second pick of the week. I'm going to go women's volleyball versus Duquesne. At Duquesne with a 2-3 loss. Now, don't misconstrue this or anything, but I gotta say, I absolutely adore the women's volleyball team. They've been doing an incredible job this season, but Duquesne is one of the toughest teams in the nation. For them to be playing an away game against them, I think that we have a definite chance of maybe of proving ourselves. I'm not gonna rule out that we actually stretch this game out and we do something, but overall, I think it's gonna be a very, very challenging game. But also an exciting one. Volleyball never stops. That's my favorite thing to go watch. It's awesome. But anyway, yeah, 2-3 loss against Duquesne. And so now on to my final pick of the week. I'm going to go women's soccer versus Davidson. Surprisingly, Davidson, which has at times been a surprisingly solid A10 force. They were cleaning up a couple of years ago. They're on kind of a downswing right now. Yeah. And I was checking out some of the games they were losing, and I was just ooh, ee. And so I guess after looking at their record, we're kind of almost even, but I feel like we kind of have an edge though with women's soccer. We're also another very streaky sort of team, where it doesn't always make sense, Mm-hmm. And so I'm gonna say that this is gonna be a 1-0 win at home. Honestly, for our women's soccer team, whenever we're at home, we are extremely strong. We just have some sort of like little like kick that we don't necessarily see on the road, and especially for a huge LaSalle, like coming off of like the past couple seasons with us playing in the A10s, I think that we kind of have the opportunity. We need to just get this A10 win, start asserting ourselves, and just start piecing that together. What do you think though about these picks? What's the opinion?
I'm feeling really good about women's volleyball. I feel like we're gonna see a really nice win there.
Yeah.
And for soccer, I think as well. I think we're gonna clinch that Duquesne match, just because I'm personally rooting for women's soccer. It's my love.
I feel like at this point we're kind of like personally invested in like actually what happens with these teams. That's what being a sportscaster does to you. I know Brendan Rigney, he sobs after like women's soccer matches as well. It just makes it, it just makes this job much more gratifying. But yeah, I just gotta say, like, it's gonna be a good rest of the season, especially as now we start moving to A10s, even better highlight reels and everything. So yeah, it looks like that just wraps it up for this week. And if you can't make it out to see the marquee matchup, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. And keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com and by following us on Twitter at SportsLineLTV. We post game updates and sneak peeks into the upcoming show.
And also check us out on Facebook.com at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions about the show on either website.
And so, anyway, for Zach, Amani, and our Sportsline team, I'm Jake Smolinski.
And I'm Anna Gomez. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the game.